Welcome to the Fairfield County Fish and Game Protective Association Independent Shooter Review. I'm your host, Jeff Hunter. The independent shooter designation must be renewed annually. This video is a summary of the rules, regulations, and responsibilities of independent shooters at Fairfield County's rifle and pistol range. Not every scenario can be covered by this review. You must rely on your good judgment and common sense in alignment with the spirit of the rules. If in doubt, please consult the rifle pistol range standard operating procedure. Please do let the red lights in the background distract you. They are an important safety measure at our range, but more on that later. Thank you for taking the time to participate in this review. Sit back and relax. I'll guarantee this is the most fun you'll have all day. What is an independent shooter? An independent shooter is an individual who has demonstrated knowledge, skills, and attitude necessary to use the range safely and has satisfactorily completed an independent shooter class. After completion of the independent shooter class, the member's name, membership number, and date will be entered into a list of independent shooters. Any unsafe handling of firearms or failure to observe range rules may result in revocation of certification at the rifle pistol chairman's discretion. Said individual will be notified by any available means, i.e. phone, email, mail, etc., and will be removed from the list of independent shooters. Failure to adhere to these rules and regulations, failing to comply with a range safety officer's direction, or acting in an unsafe manner will result in indefinite suspension from the range and may result in expulsion from the club or other disciplinary action as dictated by the Board of Governors. All state and federal laws and statuses concerning the carrying, firing, handling, and transporting of firearms are to be adhered to at this facility. Basic firearm safety. Always keep the firearm pointed in a safe direction. Always keep your finger off the trigger until ready to shoot. Always keep the firearm unloaded until ready to use. Lastly, always know your target and what is beyond. This will be covered in a later section. Our outdoor range allows our members to shoot their own rifles and pistols. The range can accommodate target frames from 7 yards to 100 yards. The 8 distinct shooting bays accommodate both long and short targets. The 5 leftmost bays allow shooting between 7 and 50 yards and can accommodate up to 4 shooters per bay. The right 3 bays are set up to shoot distances between 50 yards and 100 yards and can accommodate 3 shooters per bay. The range is equipped with LED lighting, LED safety light system, and 3 entry-exit doors. There are also a number of club-provided benches and seats for you to use. Do not rely on the club to provide you with supplies. You are responsible for bringing your own targets, eye and ear protection, scopes, rests, staplers, and other supplies. The range opens at sunrise on Monday through Saturday. On Sunday, the range opens at 10 a.m. The range closes every day at a half hour past sunset. The range will be closed when there are special events such as trap, skeet, or sporting clay shoots. Additionally, the range will be closed on stocking days and during hunting season. The range may also be closed from time to time for other events. Please check the club calendar. Please keep in mind that the range closures are sometimes announced last minute via email. These closures may be related to range maintenance or other activities. Always use your best judgment when arriving at the range and assessing if it is available for use. Please understand that the range closures are always for the betterment of the range for the total membership. The range hours are summarized here. Our range safety lights are designed to give anyone on or entering the range building an immediate message of the current status of the firing line. Lights are visible from the outside of the building through the windows and at several points on the building exterior. Range officers and independent shooters are required to activate the lights when first entering the range. The lights will immediately flash red. Think of the red status as stop handling of all firearms. When the lights are red, it is safe to walk downrange to position, post, or remove your targets. Once all individuals have returned from downrange and have eye and ear protection in place, the green lights may be activated. It is only then that firearms may be uncased and handled. It is the responsibility of a range safety officer to change the status lights while on duty. Independent shooters must operate the lights and coordinate with others when doing so. All light and condition changes must be accompanied by loud, clear verbal commands. Any person on the range may call "cease fire" immediately if they observe an unsafe condition or circumstance. Shooters must stop all firing and gun handling immediately upon hearing this command. During any ceasefire period, all firearms must be unloaded, open, and pointed safely downrange with a chamber flag in place. Shooters must step away from the bench once firearms are properly benched and safe. Firearm safety at our range. The basic firearm safety rules are always enforced at Fairfield County Fish and Game Protective Association. Treat every firearm as if it was loaded. Never assume that a chamber is empty. Keep your muzzle pointed in a safe direction. This means downrange and includes knowing what is beyond your target. Be certain that your bullets do not strike the ground, another target frame, or are ever pointed at blue sky. Keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to shoot. This means on the target, not at the bench or when raising the firearm to the target. You must follow range rules regarding target placement and types of targets allowed. Steel targets are prohibited except for during a club organized event such as a steel challenge or know your limits match. The firing line. Bagging and unbagging of handguns must be done at the firing line. Do not bring your handgun to the range without it being safely bagged or holstered. Firearms must be clear with actions open and displaying a chamber flag when not in use. When unbagged, uncased, or unholstered, all firearms must display an empty chamber flag with the action open. Loading and unloading of firearms is only permitted on the firing line. You may not enter the range with a loaded firearm. Point your muzzle in a safe direction when leaving the firing line. The muzzle of handguns behind the firing line must be pointed directly down at the floor. The muzzle of rifles must be pointed directly up. All firearms must be unloaded at the firing line before leaving the range. Placing target frames. Stay in your lane. Each shooting position and target lane is clearly numbered on and above the bench and at each of the designated shooting distances. Make certain that there is no target frame behind the one you are using and that your stance does not permit you to cross fire into an adjoining frame. Set target height to your shooting position and/or height. All shots must strike the berm behind your target. Use staples or pushpins, no stickers. Use staples or pushpins to hang your paper targets at the correct height for your shooting. Do not stick adhesive targets to the target frames, please. Center your target. Avoid placing targets closer to the wood frames than your shooting ability will allow. Lumber is expensive. Shooting safely. You need not be an expert marksman to become certified as an independent shooter. We recognize that our members have various levels of experience and proficiency. Skills are developed with time and practice. We therefore have some specific additional rules and guidelines to ensure maximum safety at the range. These include the following. Line of sight firing only. No from the hip or unaimed shooting is permitted. The most basic safety rule is to always keep the muzzle pointed in a safe direction. If everyone handled a firearm so carefully that the muzzle never pointed at something they didn't intend to shoot, there will be virtually no firearm accidents. It's as simple as that, and it's up to you. Dry firing only permitted on the firing line. Even when dry firing with an unloaded gun, you should never point the gun at an unsafe target. No drawing a loaded firearm from a holster. There are Valid safety reasons why we limit or deny drawing from any holster or concealment on the range. It is a covered shooting structure with a concrete floor. The concrete will cause any negligent discharge or round strike to ricochet and possibly hit and severely injure or kill other shooters. This is a primary safety concern and a situation easily controlled to ensure the safety of the shooters, their families, and guests. Does this rule apply to retired or current military? Yes. Does this rule apply to retired or current law enforcement? Yes. No drawing a loaded firearm from a holster, period. Always keep your muzzle pointed in a safe direction. No firearm is to be aimed or held in such a manner that a discharged round can stray from the range or otherwise cause damage to the range structure. A safe direction means the direction in which a bullet cannot possibly strike anyone, taking into account possible ricochets and the fact that bullets can penetrate walls and ceilings. The safe direction may be up on some occasions or down on others, but never at anyone or anything that is not intended as a target. No cross-range firing. By only permitting line of sight firing, that is, you holding and pointing the gun directly at the target, the muzzle of the gun is always pointed only at the target. It does not move and possibly point in an unsafe direction. Rapid fire shooting. Rapid fire shooting must be authorized by an RSO who is responsible to supervise the shooter wishing to do so. No full automatic shooting. Full automatic fire is prohibited at all times. Handguns over 50 yards. Handgun shooting at targets beyond 50 yards requires the express permission of an RSO. New firearms must be bore-sighted. Firearms with newly installed scopes or optics must be initially bore-sighted prior to firing. We have no caliber-specific prohibitions for rifles or handguns on the rifle and pistol range at Fairfield County. Shot shells are prohibited when shooting at the standard club-provided target frames. This is because they are unnecessarily destructive to the wood frames and vinyl boards. Turkey guns may only be tested and fired at specific plywood frames stored in the equipment room. Care must be exercised to avoid hitting target frames and wooden structures. All shooting must be done from an established firing line. Remember that all firearms must be cased or unholstered upon entering the range building. They may only be handled at the firing line during commence fire or green light conditions. When you finish using a range facility, you must clean targets off the frames that you've used. Don't expect the RSOs or other shooters to clean up after you. All grounded brass must be swept up and placed in a proper receptacle. All trash belongs in a trash can. Perhaps it wasn't the best part of your day, but we do thank you for taking the time to review this material. Thank you to Rifle Pistol Chairman Ryan Smith, Ed Davies, Bob Schrager, and Chris Davis for putting this review together. The next step in your certification process is taking the short test. You can find the link to that test at the bottom of this page. Once your test is complete, you pay a small fee that helps with range maintenance. If you have any questions, please contact Ryan Smith. Again, thank you for participating.